Most retirement lists are lying to you. They're recommending countries that could drain your savings, put your safety at risk, or leave you stranded in a place where you don't belong. And you know what the worst part is? They do it just because the cost of living is low on paper. But here's the truth. Cheap doesn't mean livable, and popular doesn't mean safe. Today, I'm doing something different. I'm ranking 10 countries where you can actually retire on Social Security, but I'm not just looking at the price tag. I'm judging them on 3 critical factors: cost of living, safety, and real quality of life. We're starting at number 10, a place that everyone talks about but almost no one warns you about. And we're counting down to the single best country on earth, where your Social Security check doesn't just survive, it actually goes further than you ever thought possible. Stick with me until the end, because number 1 is going to surprise you, and it might just change your entire retirement plan. Number 10, Mexico. Let's kick things off with the most obvious choice, Mexico. And that's exactly the problem. It's too obvious. Now don't get me wrong, Mexico has a lot going for it. You've got incredible food, warm weather year-round, and it's literally right next door. You can drive there. You can visit family back home without emptying your wallet on flights. The cost of living in many areas is shockingly low. A couple can live comfortably on $1,200 to $1,500 a month in cities like Mérida or San Miguel de Allende. But here's where the cracks start to show. Safety is inconsistent. Yes, there are safe pockets, especially in expat-heavy areas, but the truth is, cartel violence is real, and it's spreading. You can't just pick a random town and hope for the best. You have to do serious research, and even then, things can change fast. Then there's the issue of rising costs. Places like Playa del Carmen and Tulum used to be affordable paradises. Now, they're basically California with tacos. Expats flooded in and prices followed. What was once a budget-friendly haven is now pricing out the very retirees it used to attract. So Mexico earns the number 10 spot because while it's convenient and familiar, it's not the slam dunk everyone pretends it is. You can make it work, but you'll need to be strategic, stay aware, and accept that it's not the bargain it used to be. And honestly, if you're going to put in that much effort, why not aim higher? Number 9, Costa Rica. Speaking of places that used to be great, let's talk about Costa Rica. This country has been the poster child for retirement abroad for decades. Beautiful beaches, lush rainforests, stable democracy, and some of the happiest people on the planet. It checks a lot of boxes, especially if you're looking for natural beauty and a laid-back vibe. But here's the thing, nobody mentions in those glossy travel blogs. Costa Rica is no longer cheap, not even close. In fact, in many areas, it's more expensive than living in parts of the United States. San Jose, the capital, has rents that rival mid-sized American cities. A decent meal at a restaurant can cost you $15 to $20. Imported goods, which include a lot of what you're used to eating and using, come with hefty import taxes. Sure, you can find cheaper areas if you're willing to go rural, but then you're sacrificing access to quality healthcare, reliable internet, and the expat community that makes the transition easier. And let's talk about healthcare for a second. Costa Rica's public system is solid, but it's slow. If you want private care, which most expats do, you're paying out of pocket or buying private insurance, and that adds up fast. So why is Costa Rica at number 9? Because it's still beautiful, still stable, and still relatively safe. It's just not the budget paradise it's advertised to be. If you got a little extra cushion in your retirement funds, it's wonderful. But if you're living strictly on Social Security, you're going to feel the squeeze. And that's not the dream you signed up for. Number 8, Vietnam. Now we're getting into the real budget territory. Let's talk about Vietnam. If you want your dollars to stretch as far as humanly possible, Vietnam is hard to beat. We're talking about a cost of living so low it almost feels illegal. You can rent a nice apartment in Hanoi or Da Nang for $300 to $400 a month. A full meal at a local restaurant costs $2 to $3. Healthcare is surprisingly good and incredibly cheap compared to the West. The food? Legendary. Po, banh mi, fresh spring rolls, coffee, that'll change your life. You'll eat like royalty on a peasant's budget. But, and this is a big but, Vietnam is not easy. The visa situation is complicated. You'll need to do visa runs or navigate a somewhat opaque residency process. The language barrier is real. Outside of major cities and tourist areas, English is rare, and Vietnamese is a tonal language that's notoriously difficult to learn. Then there's the culture shock. Vietnam is vibrant and exciting, but it's also chaotic. Traffic is insane. Bureaucracy can be a nightmare. The pollution in cities like Hanoi can be rough if you have respiratory issues. And let's be honest, Vietnam is far from home. If you need to get back to the States for an emergency, you're looking at a 20-plus hour journey and a hefty plane ticket. So Vietnam sits at number 8 because if you're adventurous, healthy, and willing to embrace a completely different way of life, it offers unbeatable value. But it's not for everyone. It requires adaptability, patience, and a strong stomach for uncertainty. If that sounds exhausting, don't worry. The next few options make things a little easier. 7. Thailand. Thailand is where affordability meets convenience, and that's why it's been an expat favorite for decades. Let's start with the good stuff. The cost of living is incredibly low. A comfortable lifestyle in Chiang Mai or Bangkok runs you about $1,000 to $1,300 a month. The food is world-class. The people are friendly. The weather is warm year-round, though we'll get to that in a second. But here's where Thailand really shines. Healthcare. Thai hospitals, especially the private ones in Bangkok, are some of the best in Asia. We're talking about modern facilities, English-speaking doctors, and costs that are a fraction of what you'd pay in the US. A doctor's visit might cost $30. A knee replacement, around $10,000 to $15,000, compared to $50,000 back home. Thailand also has a massive expat community. You'll find support networks, social groups, English-speaking services, and plenty of people who've walked the path you're walking. That makes the transition so much smoother. So what's the catch? Visa rules. Thailand's retirement visa requires you to have a certain amount of money in a Thai bank account, and the rules seem to change every few years. It's not impossible, but it's something you have to stay on top of. Then there's the weather. Thailand is hot and humid. If you're not a fan of sweating through your shirt just walking to the grocery store, this might not be your paradise. And culturally, while Thailand is welcoming, it's still Southeast Asia. There's a learning curve, and not everyone adapts easily. The healthcare alone makes it worth considering, but if you're looking for something a little closer to Western norms, keep listening. Number 6, Colombia. Here's a country that most people immediately write off because of outdated stereotypes, and that's a massive mistake. Colombia, specifically the city of Medellin, is one of the most underrated retirement destinations on the planet. Let's talk about Medellin for a moment. It sits in a valley at about 5,000 feet elevation, which gives it what locals call eternal spring. The temperature hovers around 70 to 75 degrees year-round. No sweltering summers, no freezing winters, just perfect. The cost of living is incredibly affordable. You can live well on $1,000 to $1,200 a month. Healthcare is excellent and cheap. A typical doctor's visit costs around $20 to $30, and the private hospitals are modern and staffed with English-speaking professionals. The expat community in Medellin is booming. You'll find yoga classes, book clubs, hiking groups, and plenty of people who speak English and understand the challenges of moving abroad. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't Colombia dangerous? Let's be real. Colombia had a rough past. The days of Pablo Escobar and the cartel wars left a scar on the country's reputation, but that was decades ago. Modern Colombia, especially in cities like Medellin, is safer than many American cities. Of course, you still need to be smart, stay aware of your surroundings, and avoid certain neighborhoods, but that's true anywhere. The biggest downside? Perception. A lot of people hear Colombia and immediately think it's too risky, so they never even look into it. That's their loss. Colombia sits at number 6 because it offers incredible value, amazing weather, and a growing expat scene. But the stigma, fair or not, keeps it from climbing higher on this list. Number 5, Spain. Now we're shifting gears. If you've been nervous about heading to a developing country, if you want European infrastructure, walkable cities, world-class wine, and a slower pace of life, Spain might be calling your name. Spain offers a non-lucrative visa, which basically means if you can prove you have enough income to support yourself without working, they'll let you live there. For most retirees on Social Security, this is absolutely doable, especially if you're targeting the right regions. And here's the secret. Don't go to Barcelona or Madrid. Those cities are beautiful, but expensive. Instead, look at places like Valencia, Alicante, or smaller towns in Andalusia. You can live comfortably on $1,500 to $1,800 a month, which is tight but manageable. Spain gives you everything you'd expect from Europe: excellent public transportation, universal healthcare that's available to residents, safe streets, incredible food and wine, a culture that values relaxation and enjoying life, not just grinding away. You'll have access to the entire European Union for travel. You want to spend a weekend in Paris? Hop on a cheap flight. Portugal, Italy, Germany, it's all right there. The downsides: bureaucracy. Spanish paperwork is legendary for being slow and frustrating. Getting residency takes time and patience. Also, while healthcare is great, it's not free for non-EU residents immediately. You'll need private insurance at first, which adds to your costs. And let's be honest, Spain is still more expensive than the other countries we've talked about so far. But you're paying for stability, safety, and a first world lifestyle. Spain sits at number 5 because it's the safest, most culturally rich option on this list, but it requires a bigger budget and more patience with the system. Number 4, Portugal. If Spain is the charming older sibling, Portugal is the cool, laid-back younger one who somehow does everything right. Portugal has become the darling of the expat world, and for good reason. It's safe, affordable, stunningly beautiful, and has one of the most foreigner-friendly visa programs in Europe. Lisbon and Porto are gorgeous, but they're getting pricey. The smart move is heading to smaller cities like Braga, Coimbra, or even the Algarve if you want to be near the beach. You can live on $1,400 to $1,700 a month if you budget smart. Portugal's healthcare system is excellent. English is widely spoken, especially in expat-heavy areas. The people are warm and welcoming. The weather is mild. The food is incredible. The wine is even better and ridiculously cheap. And here's a big one. Portugal is politically stable. You don't have to worry about sudden policy changes or economic chaos. It's a safe, predictable place to build a life. One thing that really sets Portugal apart is the lifestyle. The Portuguese have this concept called saudade, a deep emotional connection to life, nostalgia, and contentment. It translates into a slower pace of living where people actually enjoy their meals, their company, and their surroundings. You'll find yourself sitting at cafes for hours, strolling through historic neighborhoods, and genuinely relaxing in a way that's nearly impossible back in the States. The country also has some of the lowest crime rates in Europe, which means you can walk around at night without constantly looking over your shoulder. It's the kind of peace of mind that money can't buy, but Portugal gives it to you anyway. So why isn't Portugal higher on this list? Taxes. Portugal used to have a special tax regime for retirees that made it a no-brainer. That's changed. Now, your social security income is taxable, and depending on your situation, that can eat into your budget. Also, it's trendy. Because everyone and their cousin is moving to Portugal, housing costs in popular areas have skyrocketed. You'll need to be strategic about where you settle. Portugal sits at number 4 because it's one of the safest, most comfortable places to retire in the world. But the rising costs and tax situation mean it's not the bargain it used to be. Still, if you value peace of mind and a European lifestyle, it's hard to beat. Number 3, Ecuador. Now we're entering the top 3, and this is where things get really interesting. Let's talk about Ecuador, specifically the city of Cuenca. Cuenca is one of those places that feels like a secret, even though it's been on retirees' radars for years. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site with colonial architecture, cobblestone streets, and a thriving expat community. But here's what makes Ecuador so appealing. It uses the US dollar. No need to worry about exchange rates, currency fluctuations, or getting ripped off at the money changer. Your social security check goes straight into the local economy without any conversion headaches. The cost of living is incredibly low. You can live comfortably on $900 to $1,200 a month. Healthcare is affordable and good quality. A doctor's visit costs $20 to $30, and prescription medications are a fraction of US prices. Cuenca sits at about 8,500 feet elevation, so the weather is mild and spring-like year-round. You won't need heating or air conditioning, which saves you money every month. The expat community in Cuenca is tight-knit and welcoming. There are social clubs, volunteer opportunities, language exchange groups, and plenty of support for newcomers. So what's holding Ecuador back from the top 2 spots? Altitude. Not everyone adjusts well to living at high elevation. Some people experience shortness of breath or fatigue for weeks or even months. It's something you need to test before committing. Also, Ecuador is still a developing country. Infrastructure is decent but not perfect. Internet can be spotty in some areas. Bureaucracy can be slow and frustrating. But if you can handle those minor inconveniences, Ecuador at number 3 offers an unbeatable combination of affordability, stability, and community. It's a place where your social security check doesn't just survive, it thrives. Number 2, Malaysia. Alright, let's talk about a country that doesn't get nearly enough attention, Malaysia. Malaysia is what I call the stealth option. It's modern, clean, safe, and shockingly affordable, but for some reason, it flies under the radar compared to places like Thailand or Portugal. Here's what makes Malaysia special. It's a developed country with first world infrastructure. We're talking about excellent roads, reliable public transportation, fast internet, modern shopping malls, and international brands everywhere. It feels like living in the United States 20 or 30 years ago, but with better food and lower costs. Kuala Lumpur is the capital, and it's cosmopolitan, diverse, and English is widely spoken. But if you want something quieter, cities like Penang or Malacca offer a more laid-back vibe with the same modern conveniences. The cost of living is incredibly reasonable. You can live comfortably on $1,200 to $1,500 a month. Rent is cheap, food is cheap, transportation is cheap, healthcare is excellent and affordable. A visit to a private doctor costs around $25. Malaysia is also diverse. You've got a mix of Malay, Chinese, Indian, and expat cultures all blending together. The food scene is one of the best in the world. You'll eat like a king on a budget. So why isn't Malaysia number 1? The visa situation. Malaysia used to have the M&2H program, which was a fantastic long-term visa for retirees. They changed the rules a few years ago and made it much harder to qualify. Now you need significantly more money in the bank, which puts it out of reach for many Social Security retirees. There are workarounds like tourist visas and visa runs, but it's not as straightforward as it used to be. Also, Malaysia is far from the United States. If you need to get home quickly, it's a long, expensive journey. But if you can navigate the visa situation, Malaysia at number 2 is an absolute gem. It combines the comfort of the West with the affordability of Asia, and that's a rare combination. Number 1, Panama. And here we are. Number 1, the best country to retire on Social Security. And the winner is Panama. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, of course it's Panama. Everyone says Panama. Let me explain why it actually deserves the top spot. Panama isn't just affordable. It's not just close to the United States. It's not just safe. Panama is the only country on this entire list that actively rewards you for being a retiree. Let me say that again. Panama pays you to retire there. Here's how it works. Panama has a program called the Pensionado, and it's designed specifically for foreign retirees. If you can prove you have at least $1,000 a month in pension income, which pretty much anyone on Social Security qualifies for, you get access to incredible discounts on almost everything. 25% off restaurant bills, 25% off utility bills, 15% off hospital bills, 20 to 30% off flights, 50% off entertainment like movies and concerts, 25% off hotel stays in Panama. Think about that for a second. Your Social Security check doesn't just go further because things are cheap. It goes further because the government literally gives you a discount on the things you're already buying. It's like living life with a permanent coupon book, except it's not a coupon, it's the law. Now let's talk about the practical stuff. Panama uses the US dollar just like Ecuador. No currency exchange nonsense, no getting scammed at the money changer. Your money works the same way it does back home. The cost of living is very reasonable. In Panama City, you can live comfortably on $1,500 to $2,000 a month. If you go to smaller cities like David or Boquete, that drops to $1,200 to $1,500. Healthcare in Panama is excellent. The country has some of the best hospitals in Central America. Many doctors are trained in the United States and speak English. A typical doctor's visit costs $30 to $50. Prescription medications are cheap and readily available. Panama is close. If you need to fly back to the United States for any reason, it's a quick 3 to 5 hour flight. You're not stuck on the other side of the world. The expat community is huge. There are entire neighborhoods in Panama City and beach towns like Coronado where you'll find American retirees living their best lives. You won't feel isolated or alone. There are social clubs, activities, volunteer opportunities, and plenty of people who've done exactly what you're thinking about doing. Panama is also safe, at least in the areas where expats tend to live. Like any country, there are neighborhoods you avoid, but overall, it's one of the safer countries in Latin America. The weather is tropical, which means it's warm year-round. If you're sick of cold winters and want to spend your retirement on the beach or in the mountains with perfect weather, Panama delivers. And here's the kicker. The visa process is straightforward. The Pensionado program is well established, and there are plenty of lawyers and agencies who specialize in helping retirees navigate the process. It's not instant, but it's manageable, and once you're in, you're set. So why is Panama number one? Because it checks every single box. It's affordable, it's safe, it's close, it uses the US dollar, it has great healthcare, it has a massive expat community. And most importantly, it's the only country that literally gives you a discount on life just for being a retiree. Your Social Security check doesn't just survive in Panama, it thrives. It grows in value, it gives you the lifestyle you've earned after decades of hard work. Panama isn't perfect, no place is. But if you're looking for the best overall retirement destination, where your dollars work hardest, where you feel safe, where you're close to home, and where the government actually wants you there, Panama is the clear winner. So there you have it. 10 countries ranked from worst to best for retiring on Social Security. From Mexico's convenience but rising costs all the way to Panama's unbeatable combination of affordability, safety, and those incredible pensionado discounts. But here's the thing. Knowing where to go is only half the battle. The real question is, how do you actually make the move? How do you pack up your life, sell your stuff, navigate the visa process, and land in a foreign country without losing money or your mind in the process? That's exactly what I cover in the next video. I'm going to walk you through the step-by-step exit plan, the exact blueprint you need to go from thinking about it to living it. Don't wait, don't overthink it. Your retirement is waiting for you, and it's better than you ever imagined. Let's make it happen.